Oh, we're live, Paul. Welcome to the Danny Miner podcast. Believe it or not, this is episode 7 already, Paul. Welcome to our show. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, Danny. I appreciate it. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all. So you go by Uncle Paul? Is that what you go by on TikTok?
Yeah, that's the name my followers gave me after we started going viral for my nephew's case and his disappearance.
Oh,
They
okay.
named me. It just kind of stuck.
So your Facebook, your TikTok page, you were like just dedicated to him, right?
Yeah, it's kind of steered towards other things lately because I need a break here and there. But because it's been 3 years, we're about to cross the 3-year mark. So you might see a little pop culture here and there, but it's dedicated to him. Ultimately, everything leads back to him.
Right. And listen, I kind of researched his case. Now, I saw that we won't get into it right away as we get some followers coming on, I can see now. But you actually got a private investigator to help you. I saw that, and what I saw was eye-opening, what you sent me. You know what I mean? He did such a good job. It was crazy how good he did. So let's talk. Your nephew, how old was he?
19.
19. And you said he did, you admit to it, he had an addiction problem, correct?
Absolutely.
And you said he was on an ankle monitor at the time, correct?
Yes, he was supposed to have been monitored.
Okay. And do you remember what he was on for?
Yes, absolutely. Felony retaliation, which no one even knows what that is. We had to go look that up. It's a bullshit charge, Danny.
Is it really? I believe
it really is. And I don't know how much you want to go into that just yet, but we can go there if you want.
Let's go into it.
Okay, so December, we're going to go back a few years. December 2020 is when my nephew, little AJ, little AJ, baby AJ, these are interchangeable terms that I call him. He meets a woman, 12 years his senior, gets into a relationship with her. This is December 2020. January of 2020, he comes home to their apartment. He's arguing with her. He's probably high. There's no indication in the police report that he is, but I'm willing to bet he is. She is a known drug trafficker.
Okay.
So he comes in, likely high. They start arguing. He goes to her car to sleep.
Okay.
She gets him out of her car, tells him to come back in. He comes back in. They start arguing again. She says, "I'm going to call the cops on you." He said, and I quote the police report, "If you call the cops, I'm going to get my baby mama to beat you up."
Okay.
He has no baby, therefore he has no baby mama. So this is a hypothetical threat.
Okay. So he just sent that back just to reply, basically.
Yeah. And that's why he was arrested immediately and given an ankle monitor, because that's a, quote, felony retaliation charge.
You know what? They try to do that, like to protect witnesses, victims, but I mean, I think that's taking it a little bit too far, to be honest with you. So that's what he was done for.
You're right on the money, though, Danny, because there are some people that think she's an informant. I don't think she's an informant. I think her husband, because of course she's married, married, I believe he's cartel, drug trafficker. That's what I believe. Now, having said that, he is supposed to have been monitored because the charge kind of paints her as a victim of domestic violence, which I don't trivialize in any way. She's an alleged victim of domestic violence, per her.
Right.
So one would think that when little AJ goes missing, that someone would want to look for him because he might harm her. She's a supposed victim in this scenario.
Understand, yeah.
He's supposed to stay out of the victim exclusion zone, which is so many feet from her apartment. So, fast forward to April, the day after Easter, he leaves my sister's house and no one ever sees him again alive, at least in the family. We have pictures of him a few days later. A few days on the 8th of April, 2021, he's photographed with some cousins. And on April 13th, He sends a friend an Instagram message saying that he's ready to be done with this life. He's going to turn himself in the following day.
Oh,
That would be April 14th. On April 14th, his ankle monitor log, which we have, shows that there was some tampering on the back plate. So the thing that's against his skin, there was some tampering with it. It goes offline for 2 days. It comes back online April 16th of 2021 at a warehouse in the northeast side of Houston, known for drug, sex, and gun trafficking, at a warehouse for 41 hours. It leaves that warehouse, it goes to a grocery store for 2 hours right down the road, and then it completely dies. So that's the last few days, assuming he's wearing the ankle monitor the entire time.
right.
This the end of his story. Now,
Right.
we don't find any of this out for 2 months. In May, roughly a month after this, my sister realizes, hey, no one's heard from little AJ. It's been a minute. You know, a week or two, that's normal. A month, nothing, no Facebook. Little AJ was a social media butterfly. He's always on live doing something stupid because he's 19 years old doing what dumb 19-year-old kids do. Like,
Listen, I'm 55 and I'm on.
you know, he's being 19. Nothing, just radio silence from him. My sister calls me. I'm living in Albuquerque, New Mexico at the time. She calls me, and I can't tell you how I know. I just know things. The moment she called me, I knew he was dead. I just knew it. I had just taken to TikTok minutes before she called me, saying that I feel like my brother, who was also murdered at 19, 3 decades prior.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes, this is why I'm so invested. But I literally took to TikTok and told my brother's story for the first time the same day, saying, I think my brother wants me to help him find his killer because he was never arrested. And then my sister calls to say little AJ is missing. And I just knew it. I just knew it was him.
Oh my God.
So,
oh my God.
It takes a month for us to get the ankle monitor log because in our heads, we're just like, hey, he's wearing ankle monitors. Shouldn't they just go to the computer, tappity tap tap? We know where he's at. It doesn't work like that, Danny.
I know.
It's a pre-trial ankle monitor, so therefore he still has some rights
Right.
because he hasn't been convicted of anything.
Right, he's not home confined or anything like that. It's just a monitor.
This is just to keep him away from his girlfriend because she's a victim.
Right.
And I don't trivialize domestic violence in any way, y'all. Just given what I've known about this case, I don't paint my nephew in any kind of way as a saint. But every single person, both on her side and his side, that I've interviewed, say she was the abuser here and he was the victim. So That's why I say a victim in quotes. Please don't think I'm trying to trivialize domestic violence in any way.
No, Paul, I could tell you're a good guy, man. I could tell you wouldn't say that. And I'm sure you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So it takes us another month.
You can't see the comments, but people are they're feeling for you. I can see them here. I'll put some in. Hey, am I sounding better? Everybody out there, they were saying I'm too loud, so I adjusted. So I'm okay.
Sorry. You sound like Danny to me. Now, I don't have my volume turned up. Are you loud? I don't think you're all that loud, but that's just me.
I put it down. I think I'm good now. They were saying I was too loud.
You sound good, but okay. So it takes us another month to get the ankle monitor log.
Right.
So it's 2 months that he's been missing now before we get the ankle monitor log. During this time, Danny, and I've got documented evidence of this, I was working from home because this is also during COVID. I'm working, processing unemployment claims, yada, yada. I'm sitting at my computer one day and I feel like someone hits me over the head and I fall to the ground. I have all this documented, but I fall to the ground and I'm at a warehouse and there's a party and I can see there's like garbage cans of like flames in them. Like there's like a bonfire kind of thing in the background. I can see the flickering lights. And I feel like someone is hitting me in the head, and then I feel like I'm shot in the head and the shoulder, and I'm running. And I run, and I die against the fence. I literally can feel when I take my last breath. This has never happened to me in my life, and it freaked me the F out. So I immediately get on Facebook Messenger because we had a family group message, and I said exactly what I saw and what I felt. I'm going to answer that question, Debbie. So we get the ankle monitor log a couple weeks after. And I look at this log, and it pings every minute of his ankle monitor for the month of April. And so I'm flipping, and then I notice the same address, page after page after page. And I do the math. It's 41 hours. 3605 Lumberdale in Houston. I go to Google Street View, and I type in the address, and it's the fucking warehouse that I saw.
Oh, my God. You give me chills. And just so everybody knows, Paul does have some psychic ability, correct?
I hate that term because people think I'm a devil worshiper and all this crap. It's not a gift I want. You can have it. I don't want it. But I go, so we get the ankle monitor log, and at that point, we've already called the police several times. They're not interested in looking for him. They're not interested. Nobody has been dispatched to look for him at all. So I'm like, something tells me I need to get in my car. So I literally leave Albuquerque the next day, drive 14 hours to Houston, spend a little time with catching up with family, and then the following day, I literally retrace his last steps. Something told me to go at night. I don't recommend going to that neighborhood at night, but I did. Within minutes, Danny, I had an eyewitness that told me she saw my nephew running, getting shot in the head, in the arm, in the shoulder, and dying by the fence. And she literally pointed to that fence, and it's like, I wanted to be wrong.
Paul, wait a second. You have actually a witness, an eyewitness, and the cops aren't doing anything.
They don't give a shit. They discredited her, and we'll get there. They discredited her because, now here's the thing to keep in mind.
Okay.
The place where his ankle monitor pinged, the place where she puts him, is a very dangerous side of Houston.
Okay.
She lives right in that neighborhood facing the warehouse. So for her to tell me is putting herself in danger. Why the fuck would she do that? Oh,
right.
Oh, are you back?
No, I'm back. Yeah.
Why would she do that? It makes no sense. Okay, it makes no sense to me why she would do that. Now, so we've got her statement. We think, great, we got some movement in the case. Someone saw him. I have all of this recorded. One thing you may not know about me yet, I have receipts for everything because I don't have a really good memory, so I have receipts.
Okay.
I've got this recorded. I've got the visions recorded. Also, during that time, before we got the eyewitness statement, my family had been taking to the streets because I was having visions. I told them he's near a bayou, which in Houston, it's the fucking bayou city there.
Right.
But so they send me this one picture, Danny, and I don't know why. It's just a random picture of the woods. The picture doesn't have all that much significance in it. But for whatever reason, I get my Photos app on my iPhone, and I just start drawing the letter A on this picture. I don't know why I did this. No, this wasn't a dream. It was a vision. I was completely lucid and awake. But I'm drawing the letter A on this picture of the woods. And then at the bottom, I write the word tops, but then you can see in the chat, which has a timestamp, I said, no, it's spot. I feel like I'm looking at a mirror. I didn't know what the fuck that meant until I got to the spot where little AJ's body lay, and it faces an AA meeting.
Oh, my God. Oh.
I feel like I'm cuckoo puff sometimes, Danny.
Yeah.
Now,
look at my timeline here. Oh, my gosh. Somebody just said, but they know you. Somebody just.
Hey, everyone. Okay, so June, we get the eyewitness statement. We talk to police officers because at the time the case is in missing persons. We figured, hey, we got an eyewitness. This is going to move it over to homicide. They begrudgingly took the case. Also, during this time, we've got people reaching out and asking for money to find AJ's body.
Okay.
We've got someone answering his phone that is obviously not him and telling my sister, his mother, that he needs money. We've got AJ's girlfriend who called during this 2-month time frame on April 22nd saying she'd just gotten out of jail and that AJ ran off with her drugs and that she broke down on the side of the freeway in her car. None of this is true. Per the police report, she was arrested with another man that wasn't AJ. She was arrested with 4 to 200 grams of meth. That's a big amount difference. I don't know how much it is, but 4 grams to 200 grams.
Yes, it's a big difference.
She had scope and she had a gun, which she was illegally carrying a gun because apparently you can't have guns and a drug at the same time.
Right.
So
yeah, that's another
she got arrested
charge.
for that.
With drugs, it's another charge.
So she's out on a PR bond.
Okay.
With no ankle monitor, because why would you want to track her? So no ankle monitor. She's out on a bond. Let's see. From the jump, Danny, though, it felt like the cops were protecting her. And I say that for a number of reasons. Because my sister went to her apartment to look for AJ because he was living there.
Okay.
And when she got there, she called the cops because, AJ's missing. Where the hell is AJ? She calls the cops and the officer literally tells her, and my sister has this recorded too, why are you making this hard for her? And the her in this is his girlfriend. Right. Because how dare his mother go look for her son?
Right.
It's so freaking weird.
So
at this point, we're playing our own investigators because from the jump, we've not had police that seem to be willing to help in any way.
Let me ask you something, Paul. Do you think, and I'm just throwing this out there because it's in my head, and if it's in my head, it's in your head. They're like, oh, he had an ankle monitor on. He probably cut it off. He probably tried to escape. Is that what you think? That's what I think the police think. Am I right?
They've said that. I don't have to think it. They've said it.
Okay.
They said from the jump that AJ cut his ankle monitor off. He's on the run. He doesn't want to be found. That's what they've said. There's no evidence of that. And the reason I say there's no evidence of that is because we do have the log. And the log shows that while there was tampering, the ankle monitor was never actually taken off. It dies from a battery. His battery died.
Okay.
So if it had been taken off, we would have known it because it shows tampering. But it's somehow magically, which I think is more miraculously, because I really think he wanted us to know what happened because there's so much going on here. But also, this isn't the first ankle monitor AJ's had. It's the second. He wasn't the best kid growing up. Also, though, a big part of his story is that AJ was adopted at birth by my Aunt Betty. Now, it was open. He knew that my Aunt Betty was his mom, but that his biological mom was my sister, which is why he's my nephew. That was always open. But he died when he was 10. So he lost his first mother, and that trauma was never dealt with because sadly I come from a family of addicts. I'm a recovering addict myself. AJ had no one to sit with him and process that with. So many children who lose mothers at young ages, they fall into drugs and addiction and PTSD and all these other things if they're not getting help. And sadly, he didn't have the kind of help he needed.
Right. I'm sorry, man.
Now, having said that, he had an ankle monitor as a teen. He cut it off. He knows how to cut an ankle monitor off.
Right.
So, not rocket science.
Right.
So if he truly wanted to have cut it off and go on the run, which is what the police are alleging, AJ wouldn't be silent for 3 years. He couldn't be silent for 2 weeks. Like his mama, he'd be calling mom. Exactly. He would be calling AJ. He was 19. He didn't have a job, so he would often call for Uber money, McDonald's money. Mama, can you buy me something to eat? Mama, can you get me an Uber to go here? Uncle Paul, can you give me money? So for him, 3 years, nothing. No. Even that's how we knew he was missing because it'd been a month and nothing. Just complete radio silence. That's not AJ. AJ is, Chatty Cathy. He would need money. Now, here's where things start getting really, really dark. Even darker. So, in May, when my family started taking to the streets, they immediately went to one area of Houston where he was known to frequent, and they start posting flyers. The day they started posting flyers, his girlfriend's brother-in-law post a picture on Facebook. It's a meme, but it's a very dark meme of a body dipped in acid. And it says something to the effect of, this is basically the consequences of your actions.
Oh my God.
Total coincidence, right? Total coincidence. Now, he happens to, the same day, I don't know why, I feel like he's trolling us, but he's not the smartest, or I don't know. But he checks in, because, you know, on Facebook you can check into places.
Yeah.
He checks into Veracruz, Mexico. But he posts a picture of a freeway. And I told you, I've become an investigator, I swear, Dan. I need an unofficial investigator badge. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I've never been to Mexico, but that's a fucking Texas freeway. I grew up in Texas and Houston. That's a Texas freeway.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that just doesn't seem right. So fast forward to June. We just got the eyewitness that told me my nephew was murdered. We leave that area and we go to AJ's girlfriend's apartment. Now, I don't recommend doing stakeouts, but you do what you got to do.
Okay.
So we're taking out at her apartment. Again, I have this documented. Oh, you're fine, Debbie. I've got this documented. I have everything recorded. We're sitting outside of her apartment, kind of low-key looking. And this is a trap. If there's a trap house, this is a trap apartment complex. Because it's obvious there's slinging drugs. Again, recovering addict. Baby, this is where I would go to buy some shit. So,
right.
So I'm sitting out there and we're watching her apartment. Nothing's happening. And right before we're about to leave, because I'm getting tired at this point, I'm like, I'm with my cousin, and I just say a little prayer. Said, AJ, baby AJ, look, Uncle Paul's tired. I'm going to leave home unless something happens. You know, send me a sign. I kid you not. The second we passed by her apartment, a young African-American fella comes out, gets into a Lincoln Navigator.
Okay.
That the guy matched the description that the eyewitness gave of the guy that shot AJ, but the description is a little vague, so it could have been a lot of people. I mean,
right, I get you.
But we're following him. Fucking high-speed chase, because, you know, I'm skilled at that.
Hey, you're a good uncle, man. You're a good Uncle Paul.
Kind of have to be. Just, you know, because my brother's murder was never solved, like, I'm in this. Like, I need a resolution. Houston failed my family once. I refuse to fucking let them do it again. So I can't. I'm obsessed at this point. Which is healthy and not healthy. I understand it. But anyways, we're on 290 and it's a highway in Houston and we're just hightailing it down the freeway trying to find this guy. We lose him. But I look up and I'm looking at this freeway sign and I'm just like, I see a picture in my head. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a Chase Bank. We're in fucking Veracruz because remember, brother-in-law checked into Veracruz, Mexico.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
The picture. I'm on the freeway where he took that picture. And
it's
it's the 43rd Street exit. And I exit right there and I look at AJ's ankle monitor. And it left the warehouse where it was at for 41 hours and it goes to a grocery store parking lot. That's the fucking exit for the grocery store parking lot where his ankle monitor pinged for 2 hours.
Oh my God.
We get there. I know, it's fucking bonkers. We get there. And there's a security guard there. This, again, is a shady-ass part of Houston I don't recommend going to at night. We get there. I'm also Texan. We're carrying, okay? So we get there.
I would have been too. I would have been too.
We get there, and there's a security guard. God bless her. I call her Big Shirley because I'm a Martin fan. If you watch Martin, you'll know who Big Shirley is.
I remember Martin.
In my head, I call her Big Shirley, so I remember her. But I kid you not. I tell her about AJ. I say, hey, his ankle monitor pinged here for 2 hours without missing a beat, and I'll never forget it. She says, well, baby, if you want to do something like, I don't know, dispose of a body, you want to do it here because none of these security cameras work.
Oh.
So somebody knew this.
Right.
Somebody knew this because his ankle monitor is there for 2 hours. Now there's a bayou behind the grocery store and there's a road that goes behind the grocery store, but it's one way in, one way out. So if you drive down there at night and someone pulls in behind you, you're blocked in. Like you're not going anywhere. So even security guard, she says, I'm supposed to check back there, baby, but I don't do that. I'm like, I like my life too much.
Right.
So there's that. Now,
oh God.
Now I get home So I got all this information. My sister wasn't present for any of this. So she doesn't know that I know that her son's been killed.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to tell my sister. But mind you, I just saw this vehicle leaving AJ's girlfriend's house. I have the license plate. And again, because I'm, an unpaid investigator, I go and I put this license plate into public data.
Okay.
And I get a report.
Okay.
Vehicle, thing that sticks out to me too is it had a DV license plate. Not domestic violence, disabled veteran.
Okay. Oh, okay. Disabled veteran. Okay.
So I know this. I'm like, wait a minute. That was obviously at least not a physically disabled veteran driving.
Right.
So this was a young black male, roughly 21, 22. Dobby's making noise. I apologize if you hear my dog. So, Dobby, come here. Come here. Anyways, come here.
That's all right. There, everybody loves the dog. It's going to get more views now. You got the dog on.
Okay, so he, the handicapped plate, forgive me if that's the incorrect verbiage, I forget what we call it now, but the placard belongs to a Dwight Ben Sr.
Okay.
The vehicle's registered to his wife, but the particular plate is registered to him. Now, this is all public data. So I just happened to Google Dwight Ben Sr. And what the fuck do I find, Danny? Dwight Ben Sr. was honored by Mayor Sylvester Turner on Memorial Day of 2021. So, therefore, we have a vehicle that's registered to a disabled veteran honored by the mayor of Houston leaving a trap house at 1 a.m. What
is it? Like a grandson, maybe, or something like that, or do you know?
I've talked to him because get this, he works for a Houston government agency. He works for the Veterans Memorial Funeral Home there in Houston. So he's on the government payroll. Now, I've talked to him. In fairness, he was a very nice man. He claims that was his son-in-law driving. At first, he didn't know who the hell was driving his Lincoln Navigator, which I find hard to believe. But his son-in-law, I still don't know. I haven't verified the accuracy of that because I couldn't get his last name. But I have all these calls recorded too. His son-in-law calls me back. He says that he was there dropping off food. It's bullshit, Danny. He says he was dropping off food to his niece, except he said his niece lived with a Johnny. AJ's girlfriend's name is Joni. He kept repeating wrong information. It was too much bullshit. I've got a good bullshit. Now he remembers me chasing him. Not that much he remembers. But he said he really didn't know who lived there. He was just there for a few minutes dropping off food. I know that's bullshit because I was out there for at least an hour. And this is during COVID. So there was nothing open at that time except maybe Jack in the Box.
Right.
He sure as hell did not just run in and out. He was there for at least an hour, hour and a half. So lies, and more lies. But even still, the optics of anyone being connected to the mayor at a trap house with the woman who's a person of interest in a disappearance, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy that either. That don't sound right at all.
None of this passes the smell test, Danny, but no one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. No one cares. I've stood up in front of Mayor Sylvester Turner at City Council multiple times. Most of it virtually, but I did confront him in person once at City Council. And you know what he told me? I'll never forget it because I have it fucking recorded because he's ballsy enough to do it because, City Council meetings are recorded. I told him because the first time I talked to him, he said, well, I'll refer you back to Houston Police. Houston Police don't give a shit. And I told him, honestly, Mayor, they don't care. And I told him, it doesn't appear that you do either. And he was interrupted by another city councilman, Councilman Kubash, who said, Paul Vasquez, and you can hear it in the video, I do care. And I swear, Mayor Turner says, I'm glad the councilman cares.
Oh, my God.
This is recorded. I keep this shit up. I'm glad he cares. So, where am I going with this? So police, I've talked to multiple times. I'm not allowed to call them. They don't want want anything to do with me. They've called me shameless and vile. That's an exact quote. They bullied my sister. They've gaslit my sister. My sister has some, now there's reasons my sister didn't raise AJ, multiple reasons, but my sister's got some mental deficits, and she lives with bipolar disorder that sometimes, her mania can manifest in ways that aren't necessarily the best and healthiest for children. I'm not talking bad about her. She's, she knows her diagnosis.
Right.
But also because of her learning deficits, I've always kind of been the person that goes with her to things, so I can make it easier for her to understand. Because when there's a lot of legal jargon and a lot of big syllable words, it can be hard for her to follow. So I've always kind of been her right-hand man. And that's something that she's entitled to under the ADA because she has special needs. She has ADA, help. Basically.
Right.
Well, Houston police will never allow anyone in the room with her when they're talking to her. They openly violate her ADA rights. And there's no recourse for it. Because who polices Houston police? Is Houston police.
Oh my God. Well, let me just tell you what we did, Paul. We had a citizen as our review board, as our internal affairs. We actually didn't have a cop. We had a citizen. So he actually reviewed everything that we called them the Office of Professional Responsibility. That's instead of IA, we called it Office of Professional Responsibility. But listen, and I know you got more to tell. Just what you told me so far. Here's the thing. Just you telling about the eyewitness, okay? The other things, the vehicle, this and that. Please tell me they at least talked to these people, interviewed them. No, right?
They have, but I don't believe a word they say because we have recordings of everything. So I've got his girlfriend, Joni, who, mind you, remember, she's on a PR bond. I've got her admitting to selling dope, which is a clear violation of her PR bond. Because we have a private, let me plug them because they have done so much for us. First Priority Search and Recovery in Houston. They're an alternative to Texas EquiSearch, which is my favorite. I don't know if you're familiar with Texas EquiSearch, but when
I'm not either.
There's a Netflix documentary on Tim Miller. People in Houston worship Tim Miller, and I used to as well because his daughter was murdered. He's been through this before, dealing with police. He made it his mission. He made it his mission to help families like ours, except he wouldn't help families like ours.
Right.
Twice we begged him for help, and he said that AJ is a criminal on the run. Again, there's no evidence of that.
Right.
But here's what I've learned about Houston and about Houston police and even Houston media. And now I have friends in Houston media now, but I still call it like it is. The whole system is set up to protect Houston police. Because if you go to the media and say, hey, why haven't, my nephew was murdered and they haven't looked for him at all? Houston police doesn't consider AJ to be murdered because they completely discredited the eyewitness. Now we have other evidence, but they won't even look at it. But because in the police report, it doesn't show that AJ was murdered, the media will not report on anything that's not in the HPD police report. This is something I've learned. They won't say it if it's not in a report. It's bullshit, right? This is the 4th largest media market in the country. So they won't report anything. It's some bullshit, right? So not only that, but because Houston police has AJ listed as a runaway, Harris County Crime Stoppers won't help us. So we can't get any reward money for anyone leading up to an arrest or anything like that. We're not eligible for any resources that the city provides to families like ours because Houston police has him listed as a runaway.
As a runaway?
As a runaway. He cut his ankle monitor off. He doesn't want to be found.
Oh, jeez.
They literally told me and told KPRC, Channel 2 News in Houston when I was on, that they found no evidence of foul play. Now let's examine some evidence. So we've got the eyewitness. Now, let's say they completely discredited her. She was lying. Okay, well, we'll go there because that's their story, that she was lying. She completely made it up. Even if she's risking her life, she made it all up. That's what they want us to believe. Okay, so just put her to the side. First Party Search and Recovery hired, with their own money, cadaver dogs, 2 different cadaver dogs, trained independently of one another. They took them to the spot where the eyewitness put AJ's body.
By the fence.
By the fence. Both of them. Again, trained independently of one another. They did it separately. They did the same exact trail. Against the back side of the fence, there was a garbage bag there where the eyewitness said they covered AJ's body in a garbage bag. There was a garbage bag there. Both dogs did full alerts at both the garbage bag and the fence. HPD's reasoning for discrediting the cadaver dogs, because you can do that. You can discredit a fucking cadaver dog.
Right. They wouldn't do that to their dogs, though. Their dogs would be spot on.
Yes, and they won't even send their own dogs. That's a whole nother part of the story. They won't send them because the eyewitness was lying. So what's the point of sending their cadaver dogs? So the reason they discredited our cadaver dogs was because, and you can see it in the video, there's a metal wire fence there, a little like chicken wire fence, some cheap shit. Because she put AJ here and the cadaver dog pinged here on the other side of the metal. Oh, she's wrong. She lied because blood can't travel apparently. Because they barked here, they didn't bark there. That's the reasoning. I have this on recording. It's some bullshit. Okay, so we got that. We got the cadaver dogs, which they discredited. Here's the fucking smoking gun. Now, I can't say the jurisdiction because they've asked me not to. But we got a soil sample. And we've had it for a while. We got a whole lot of dirt. Because you can clearly see blood in this dirt. It's pretty obvious. There was at the time until Houston police allowed them to cover it up. Because of course they did. So we got some dirt. We've been all over TikTok and social media, and people have been coming out of the woodworks to offer help. A lot of them are bullshit, but some of them are genuine, like you. And like this other police force, I can't say where they're at, but I promise you they're a legit police force. They submitted it to their own crime lab. That's my nephew's blood, without a doubt.
Oh my God!
We have his DNA there. We also have.
It's horrible.
We have his DNA and we have someone else's DNA. So it tells me someone else bled there. Whether it's another victim or whether it's an assailant, I don't know because they won't check it. Now, legally, and you know this, because police didn't get this soil sample, there's nothing legally we can do with it. Except just our heads know that he was officially there without a doubt. So there's that. Then
you did more than the police did.
Yeah.
You did way more than the police did. Way more.
Oh, there's so much more. There's only so much we can fit in an hour, though. So I'm trying to like Cliff's Notes it for you. Now, there's that. Now, maybe months after AJ went missing, we've got people, blessed, and I really mean this, not in the passive-aggressive way, but bless these people's hearts because we've got volunteers that are helping us because no one else will. Authorities won't help. So we've got people that eyes along the neighborhood there. Well, we have a friend that worked as a wrecker, and he sees his vehicle come in because also I didn't tell you, but AJ's girlfriend's vehicle disappeared completely after AJ disappeared. It disappeared along with him. A black HHR. Black HHR, I want to say 2011-ish. So it looks like a fucking...
Paul, nowhere, ever again.
Hang on, we'll get there. Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
So it disappeared. Now, my friend, the wrecker, goes to this one car lot, and they're pulling in this black HHR.
Okay.
Now, we took a picture of her black HHR on Easter because, you remember, this victim that's not supposed to be around AJ because he might beat the hell out of her is hanging out with him on Easter. Because, she's a victim. Yeah. Right. She was allowed to do that, but he couldn't hang out with her. See how this doesn't make any sense? Okay.
I got you. I saw that work too, yeah.
So she's at my sister's house on Easter with AJ. So we took a picture of the HHR. There's some rear fender damage on the passenger side. Very noticeable fender damage. Well, here comes this HHR wheeling into the car lot there with damage on the back fender. And my friend notices that. He's like, wait a minute, is that her? That couldn't be her car. We got this on video too. So he goes and he opens it up and tell me why looked like they power washed it because the HHRs have that like vinyl coating in the back where you can throw anything. two things that stick out to us about this car is there's red stuff in the back. It looks like they tried power washing it, but you can only get so much blood out.
Right.
So they look like blood in the back of this HHR. There's that. And then there's sand in the floorboards. Now, AJ disappeared in April. At the end of March, him and Joni went to Galveston, which is a beach in Houston or outside the Houston area. So there's still sand in the floorboards. So we're thinking, oh my God, this is her car. This is her car. So we get him to talk them into not doing anything with it while my sister shows up. We call, I feel like we shouldn't have called HPD because they just messed it up. We call HPD, or I'm told to call HPD. And I remember when I called them, they're like, not how did you find it or where did you find it? Their first question to me was, who do you have working for you? I'll never forget that. Who do I have working for me? Why is that relevant?
Right, exactly.
So they go, they check out the car. The car just disappears. My friend overheard someone saying it was sold to police, which about that, but that was what he heard. And HPD swears that the VIN numbers didn't match, but they won't give me. I have her VIN number, but I don't have the VIN number of that car. So it could very well match for all we know. But it just, but get this though. It was found abandoned on the side of the freeway in mid-April.
But what do they think, AJ abandoned it? I mean, come on. I mean, this is
There's
so much suspicious circumstances, it's not even funny. I'm going to give you some recommendations what to do at the end.
Sure. Remember, they found no evidence.
I'll give you some recommendations.
I'll take anything at this point. Let's see. I'm going to try to make sure I've gone over all the damn timeline here. What haven't I talked about? Oh, God. There's a whole nother layer to this, Danny, that I've forgotten all about because I.
Now, was there blood on that fence too? Were you able to see blood on the fence by the things? Yes. I thought so because you sent me that video. I mean, there's blood on the fence for God's sake. You know? Now,
I took a picture of it. It looks like rust, but I know how to manipulate photos enough. So one of these pictures I took, and all I did was up the photo saturation. So if you know anything about digital photography, if you up the saturation, all it does is make the colors that are there that much stronger. So when I put the saturation to like 100, you can see the blood all over the ground and the fence.
I saw it.
Now, God, there's so much, Danny. Okay, so we've got the eyewitness statement. We've got the cadaver dog. So we've got his DNA. We've got the ankle monitor log that puts him there for 41 hours. That's not enough evidence, right? So I interviewed, my nephew was killed across the street from an AA meeting. We've got two people at the AA meeting that saw a body out there. They saw people playing with it. They saw people taking pictures with it. It's not. I wish I was. Danny, I feel like I'm living in a movie. To answer your question, Debbie, yes, we have a sample. The sample tests positive for AJ's DNA.
God, this is insane.
It is really insane. Yeah, you're not going to get an argument from me because even the eyewitness said that her dad took pictures of AJ's body. Those pictures are conveniently missing, right? So there's people at the AA meeting that saw a body there. Now, what else? Where was I going? I'm at the AA meeting right there. I'm standing there, and there's an older woman there. I've got this on recording too. And I start talking to her. And I said, did you know anything about a party here, a fight, a murder? She said, no, but one day she came into work. Now, her husband owns the tire shop where AJ's body was seen, right there by the fence. It's a tire shop. She owns it. Her husband owns that. So she came into work one day, and there was literally, and I'm quoting, blood all the way down the street from the mobile home park, which, if you listen to the eyewitness, AJ ran from the mobile home park all the way to the fence. So unless they have a murder there every weekend where people are bleeding out, I'm willing to bet that was AJ's blood. She cleaned it up. Now, as she's talking to me, and I have this on recording, I'm so grateful I recorded everything. Her son comes out, and he starts trying to shut her up because she's, like a canary. Um, he's like, Mom, don't be telling him that. So then I ask him, I don't pretend to be an expert at psychology, but I can tell when someone's fucking lying to me because liars tend to give more information that you don't ask for.
Right.
Because I got this
You're
on.
right. You're right.
I got this on. I tell you, I've become a detective. So I asked
You
him,
might
hey,
have to do a call after this, Paul.
I'm really wanting to do it, Danny. I want to do it. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, you know anything about a body being found here? This is what he says. He says, no. And if there was a body found here at 3 a.m, cops would have taken it and we would have known nothing about it.
Oh my gosh!
How do you
What?
know more without telling me?
Oh my God!
I didn't mention anything about time.
Oh my God!
So
This is crazy.
it's fucking bonkers, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, 3 a.m? He's like, well, no, if. In my head, I'm just like, whoa, tell me you know more without telling me. So
Right.
if I'm to believe him, cops took the body away.
Right.
Maybe they did. Here's a whole nother thing. So I've interviewed people in that neighborhood. Now the neighborhood is slowly gentrifying. So we've got mainly like kind of dilapidated trailers, and I don't say that to bash trailers. I was a trailer park kid, but these are some, dilapidated trailers over here, and a lot of warehouses, a lot of illegal warehouses. And I say that because you can pull HCAT on them, appraisal district, and realize that they're not paying any taxes, but they're clearly running businesses. Done all this work, Danny. So illegal warehouses there. Now they have this small little patch of houses that are new. So I figured, let me go talk to them because, newer homes, I'd be wanting to have security cameras and things. Well, no one has a security camera at that time that was working, but I talked to two of the owners of these new homes. Both of them tell me there's warehouse parties there almost every weekend. They call the cops and the cops never show up. So we've got warehouse parties. We've got, but get this. So they call 911, right? They've admittedly called 911. There's not a single 911 call for that entire weekend in that neighborhood, in that zip code. That's fucking unheard of. It's the 4th largest city in America. Not one, not police, firefighter, paramedic, nothing.
No way. That's bullshit.
Thank you.
That's bullshit.
Thank you. Now,
Carl, let me ask you something. And this is off the top of my head. Do you think that he was there for 41 hours at the warehouse because they were keeping him there? Is that what you think? It's exactly what I think, right?
I think yes, and I think two things, because his ankle monitor is offline on the 14th. It comes back online the 16th. Now it's traveling. It travels just a little bit before it gets to the warehouse. So it looks like he's leaving somewhere around his girlfriend's apartment. Now, right before it goes offline, he's in an area not far from there, but he's at a house with a bunch of sheds behind it. I think, and this is just speculation, I have no proof of this, my spidey senses tell me he was in one of those sheds behind the house where it went offline being tortured for a couple days because they were waiting on someone to show up that weekend at the main warehouse where they take him. And this is all speculation at this point. I think they got him high as fuck to pay it back because I feel like he probably stole their dope.
Okay.
And I think he's on the wrong.
So you think that's what he was the victim of stealing their drugs? Is that what you think?
Yeah. Stealing their drugs and knowing too much.
Okay.
Because remember, he's dating a married woman, and I believe in my soul that both her husband and her brother-in-law are trafficking drugs from Veracruz and Florida. And there's reasons I have those two places, but we're running out of time, so I'll just keep it brief. I believe they're they're drug traffickers, without a doubt, because they have no verifiable sources of income, but yet his girlfriend somehow has 3 apartments leased in her name. She don't work. I can't get an apartment without 3 times my income. How the fuck does she get an apartment?
Right. Right.
3, not just 1, but 3.
Oh.
Okay. Now, so we've got all of this, and there's so much more. The last picture we have of AJ alive was taken on April 8th, roughly 2 or 3 in the morning, not far from the warehouse. He's taking pictures of him in a car with his cousins and a girl that's an escort. No judgment there. I just say that because that plays into the sex trafficking, drug trafficking world that AJ walked into.
Okay.
Those cousins in the car with him were raised like his sisters because those are his adopted mother's granddaughters. These are my family members by marriage. Now, where things get really iffy that night, this is April 8th. It's in the middle of the night. I know by looking at all of them in that picture, they're high on meth. I'm a recovering meth addict. I know what tweakers look like.
Okay.
They're high as fuck on meth. Now, they sent me this picture. And each one of them sent me a different story as to what happened that night. All of them say that AJ's girlfriend shows up and starts fighting with them. Remind you, she's the victim and he's not supposed to be around her. But she's showing up at 3 in the morning to harass him. The victim.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So they all agree on that. But the woman driving the car says that, oh, AJ was fine. We said goodbye. She came. They were just kind of, arguing, verbally arguing. We figured, too much drama. We're going to get out of here. So they left AJ. According to the driver, one of the cousins says she's in town from Florida. That plays a big part of the story because AJ lived with her for a brief moment. And for whatever reason, had to run away from her house on a Greyhound and come home. I think he stole dope from her, and I think she came to get him killed. That's what I believe in my heart. Because she stole his dope, and she stole it from the wrong person. I don't think she wanted him to die, but in the world that they're caught up in, it's kill or be killed. So, because she says, some girl came and it was drama, we left. Okay, so her and the driver, kind of similar story, but the one that was closest to AJ, the youngest cousin, they're closest in age, they grew up close. She says she can't sleep. She hasn't slept in months because she left AJ fighting on the roof of his girlfriend's car. And, quote, she could have drove off and run him over. She could have done anything to him. So why is her story so vastly different? Because according to the other two, they hugged it out. Bye, I love you. We'll see you soon. But the one he's closest to can't sleep at night because she left him. And Joni was fighting with him. He was on the roof of her car, and Joni drove off with AJ on the roof of her car.
Jeez.
One of these stories can't be true.
One of them, right, exactly. Did the cops interview them?
Yeah, they're fine. There's no inconsistencies in their story at all. Stevie Wonder could see that there's something going on here.
I tell you this, my followers, I could see they definitely think it, Paul. They definitely. I mean, this story is crazy. I can't believe the Houston police have screwed this up this bad. It's like it's on purpose. You know what I mean?
You said it.
Yeah. I mean, my God. Here's the thing. The good news is, believe this or not, Houston is my #1 city for followers. So out of my 233,000 followers, I got about like 25% of them are from Houston for some reason. I don't know why, but that city is.
That's where the crime is.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a video on this, Paul, for you. Everything we talked about, I'm going to do a video. I'm also going to, like, little bits and clips of our podcast here I'll put out also. And I'll tag, like, Houston City in my thing so they can see it, anybody from Houston. So it'll go to Houston more. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. Now,
let me give you one thing about what I think. And I know you think it too. So I'm just going to put it out there, and it's no disrespect, believe me, to your nephew. But I think the cops are thinking, it's just a drug kid, he's an addict, and I think they didn't investigate it right. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's what I think happened. And he was an ankle monitor. They thought, let's say it was something else. Let's say it was some rich kid, You think it would be the same way? No, it wouldn't. And I'm just telling you facts. It's the truth. Am I right?
That I want to believe, but I think it's even deeper than that. And this is when I get really conspiratorial. I think Houston is being completely run by drug traffickers. And I think either the cops are in on it, or they know what they're up against and they don't have the manpower to deal with it.
Right.
Because there's no way you can look at all that we've got and say there's no evidence of foul play.
Right.
I believe, and I say that for a number of reasons. Right before COVID hit, there was an HPD officer that was arrested, high up, who was working with drug cartel and teaching them HPD's methods. That happened right before COVID. And then COVID hit. And then we're giving all these people ankle monitors. There's literally 4,000 defendants in Houston wearing ankle monitors. And the policy states that whenever there's a violation, no one is dispatched to go look for them. So you've got people out there. AJ was on a felony retaliation charge, but you've got people out there charged with murder. Like Diamond Alvarez, who's one of the cases I work, because I'm now a social justice advocate. This is what I do. Diamond Alvarez was shot 22 times by her boyfriend, Frank DeLeon, who was released on the same ankle monitor that little AJ was wearing, that we know they don't track. Because if they tracked them, they would have known where AJ was at. So, and there's so much here. We're running out of time, but there was a computer glitch that let all of these people out of jail in Harris County during this time.
Oh my God!
I'll send you the links. And then it's about to get really, really dark. And I know what I'm about to say sounds fucking bonkers, but this whole story is bonkers.
Yes.
So I've had my life threatened a number of times. I called the FBI one day, and I literally got my life threatened the next day, asking if I was the one that called FBI. I've been threatened by Harris County Precinct 5, I believe, for sending letters to the owner of the SUV. I've never sent him a damn letter in my life. But they told me to stop contacting him because I was harassing them. I've talked to him one time, Danny, and I've got that recorded. But out of the blue, they call me and tell me to stop calling them. Not that police have the authority to tell me to stop calling anyone. I'm not that dumb. But they just told me to stop contacting them and sending them letters. I laughed in the officer's face because I never sent them a letter. I'm like, okay, I'll stop writing them letters because I've never done it. So then right after that, and this is going to get really dark, and right after that, I wake up one day, and because I check the news every day, and my followers know this because at the time, I would post news articles every day, and I wake up, and there's a headline: Paul Vasquez shot and killed in Houston. I believe in my heart that the drug traffickers killed a young boy with my name to send me a message to shut up. Because they literally drove up to this random trailer and killed one person. It just so happened to be a little boy named Paul Vasquez in Cloverleaf, where I grew up. And it was put out, and you know this because you're former. They had to intentionally release his name. He's a minor.
Oh my God!
Why release his name? I know it sounds fucking crazy, y'all. So let me tell you where I'm at now, because this is all of this. So during this whole 3 years, I'm wrapping it up here. Thank you again for this, Danny. But next month will be the 3-year anniversary. So for the past 3 years, I've been trying to get my nephew justice. I literally left, because I told you I'm a recovering meth addict. I left treatment because I had just gone into treatment because my dad died. I ended a relationship, and I relapsed, and I was going down really fast. I'm an IV meth addict at that, so hardcore. Right. So I was in treatment when I got the call that little AJ was missing, and I know my family well enough to know that they couldn't handle this on their own. I'm the only educated one in my family, and I say that because it's the truth. I'm the only one that graduated high school. I'm the only one with a college degree. So I just knew that I had, I didn't think I'd be an investigator, but I just knew I had some wherewithal to help. So I left treatment. I start going down this path that gets really, really dark really fast. Now, mind you, my brother was murdered 3 decades prior, and I still live with the PTSD of that night because he was fucking killed on the 4th of July of all nights. And I got to see, as a little boy, I got to see his dead body. So that fucked me up as a kid.
Yeah.
So I got all of this that I'm dealing with, and I just go down the deep end with my meth addiction. Like, it gets really bad. Somehow I managed to build a big platform, become a social justice advocate while fighting an IV meth addiction. So,
you did. You got a big platform. I looked. You got a big platform.
It's slowed down now. I'm getting shadow banned, but you'll get there soon. It's TikTok. It's cyclical.
Yeah, there's weeks I get a ton of views. There's weeks I get no views. It's crazy.
I get it. So I say all that to say, I jokingly said right when AJ went missing that if Houston didn't want to help us, that I would just take our story to Hollywood. There was a joke. Where the fuck am I now?
Right.
God's got jokes. God's got jokes because I ended up in Hollywood in rehab. I am now, as of yesterday, I'm 7 months sober. I am writing a book. I'm working with friends in the industry. I've met people. I can't even tell you the people I've met, but they're fucking huge. I will not rest until Houston is embarrassed on a national stage. So I was literally sitting in the theater the other night with America Ferrera and Margot Robbie of Barbie, watching Barbie with the stars of Barbie. So that's the kind of friends I meet. I know.
That's awesome.
So thank you. This book will be I'm trying to get this book finished by my year sobriety anniversary, so that means I've got 5 months left, so I really got to get on it. But
you're back up with that book finished.
I absolutely will. And Danny, thank you so much for doing what you do. I've got a dozen other families. If you need guests, I've got so many families. They're all in Houston dealing with similar circumstances. There's something very dark controlling Houston. I know that in my bones.
Reach out to me. I definitely. The next 2 weeks I have people coming on, but after that I'm freed up. So just reach out to me.
All right, Danny. Well, was there anything else you wanted to ask me? I feel like I've been rambling the whole damn show.
No, that's all. You were awesome. Everybody was right into it. I could see all the comments. Everybody was into it. We kept a steady flow of people in the podcast because I could see how many people are watching. And like I said, Paul, this is just the beginning. I will do a video tomorrow. I will do little bits and pieces of this and send it out. You know what I mean? Little like 2-minute clips, minute clips, and we'll get it out there. And you are welcome to come back anytime there's new information or anything.
Absolutely, Danny. I appreciate your help, and thank y'all for giving me this hour, Danny. Thank you so much, and thank you to Nikki Washilasen, who you interviewed recently. She's a friend of mine I met on this journey, but she's the one that turned me on to your show.
You know what, Paul? Before you go, tell them your TikTok so people could follow you.
It's at Justice for Lil LILAJ. Wait a minute. At Justice for. Here, can I put it in the chat?
Yeah, put it in the chat.
There you go. And you can follow me on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok with that.
All right. Thanks, Paul. If you need anything, reach out.
Sounds good. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.